Once upon a time, there was a girl cursed with a strange kind of sleep. Her name was Alara. Instead of sleeping forever, she would fall into a deep slumber and only wake up after 100 years. The first time she woke, the kingdom she knew had vanished. The castles were broken, the fields empty, and strange people in odd clothes walked the streets. Everyone stared at her like she didn't belong. She tried to ask, "Where is my family?" But nobody knew their names. 100 years had stolen everyone she loved. Scared and alone, she wandered, but soon she grew tired, and the curse pulled her back into sleep. Another 100 years passed. She woke again. The world was even stranger. Metal birds flew across the sky, lights glowed without fire, and voices came from tiny glowing boxes. People laughed at her old-fashioned dress, calling her a ghost. Once again, everyone she knew was gone. She was alive, but never at home. Each time she woke, she learned new things. The world kept moving, but she stayed the same. She saw people fall in love, start families, grow old, something she could never have. She realized her curse wasn't just sleep, it was loneliness. One day, after many cycles, she woke again. But this time was different. A boy about her age was waiting by her side. He looked at her with kind eyes and said, "I've been waiting for you. My family has passed down your story for generations. I didn't want you to wake up alone again." For the first time in centuries, Alara smiled. She wasn't forgotten. Someone remembered her, someone cared. And maybe, just maybe, her curse wasn't just a curse anymore. Maybe it was the beginning of a new story. Alara stared at the boy, shocked. For hundreds of years, she had always woken up alone. But now, someone was here, waiting. The boy explained, "My family kept your story alive. Every generation we promised to protect the place where you slept. So when you woke up, you'd finally see a familiar face." Alara's heart raced. For centuries, she had felt like a ghost, forgotten by time itself. But now, someone actually remembered her. Someone was willing to stay by her side, even though she came from another world, another time. As the sun rose, she realized something. The curse had stolen her past, but maybe it had given her a future. She wasn't waking up to strange worlds anymore. She was waking up to someone who made her feel at home. And for the first time in 1,000 years, Alara didn't want to go back to sleep. Alara's heart felt heavy. For centuries, she had woken up in strange new worlds, always searching for a place to belong. And now, this boy was standing right in front of her, asking her to follow him home. But how could she? She didn't know him. She didn't know this world. Every time she trusted, every time she started to learn, she would be dragged back into another 100 years of sleep. What if it happened again? What if she lost him too? The boy seemed to notice the fear in her eyes. He didn't rush her. He just smiled softly and said, "You don't have to come with me yet. I'll come here. Every day, for as long as it takes, I want you to know you're not alone anymore." And he did. Every morning, he returned. Sometimes with food, sometimes with books, sometimes just to sit and tell her stories of the world she missed. Slowly, Alara began to laugh again. Slowly, her heart began to trust. But still, every night, she lay awake, terrified that the curse would steal her away once more. She didn't tell him, but deep down she wondered, would he still be here in another 100 years? Would love be strong enough to wait forever? Days turned into weeks, and the boy kept his promise. Every morning he came back, sometimes with flowers, sometimes with stories about the world outside, sometimes just to sit with her in silence. He didn't try to force her to leave the place she woke up in. He didn't ask her to forget her fears. Instead, he stayed and proved with his actions that his love was real. Alara began to realize something she had never felt in all her centuries of waking: peace. For the first time, she wasn't rushing to understand the world or searching for people she lost. She was simply living. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in gold, Alara turned to him and whispered, "I've spent so many years afraid of the next 100, afraid of waking up to nothing again. But maybe I don't need to think about the next 100 years anymore. Maybe all I need is this moment. Here. Now." The boy smiled, gently taking her hand. "Then let's live this moment together. And when tomorrow comes, we'll face it together too." For the first time in centuries, Alara wasn't afraid of the curse. She chose love over fear. She chose today over a future she couldn't control. And in her heart, she knew, even if another 100 years tried to steal everything again, These memories, this love, would never be forgotten. The days grew brighter with him by her side. Alara laughed more, learned new things, and even dared to dream of a life she never thought she could have. For centuries, she believed her curse was stronger than her. But now, for the first time, she stopped counting years. She only counted moments. Then one night, something strange happened. The familiar heaviness of the curse began to pull at her, the same way it always did before she fell into another 100 years of sleep. Panic rose in her chest until she felt his hand holding hers. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "If you fall asleep, I'll be here when you wake, I promise." Tears filled her eyes. She had spent lifetimes fearing this moment. But this time, instead of fighting it, she chose peace. She closed her eyes, whispering, "I love you." But when morning came, something was different. The curse had not taken her. For the first time in 1,000 years, she woke up naturally, beside him. It was then she realized the curse had never been about sleep. It was about learning to stop fearing tomorrow and learning to love today. And once she chose love, the curse finally broke.